Yo, good evening. It is me, Ryan Hartley from Always Better Than Yesterday. I hope that we are well. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining on the podcast. Thank you for joining on YouTube. Thank you for catching up on replay. Really appreciate you taking some time out with us. Hopefully, this interview session, number 59, will continue to help you on your way to be always better than yesterday. Hopefully, there'll be something that you listen and you hear in the next half an hour or so that if used can help you in your own journey and help you continuing to be always better than yesterday. So that's me. Very short introduction. Sending some invites now to get as many of you awesome people involved in this conversation. I hope that we've all had a good weekend. My darling daughter Brooke, you'll have seen a picture of her earlier in her tutu with a rugby ball in her hand and a ridiculous smile. She is about to start school, so she joins reception tomorrow. So it's a big day for little Hartley in the Hartley household. So yeah, she starts school tomorrow. Exciting times, exciting times. So here we go, episode 59, which means I've had 58 awesome people join me in the past, all about habits and mindset. I believe that what separates the good from the great is the way that we think, because I think the way that people think informs the way that people act and ultimately the results that we get. So I'm really looking forward to episode 59 with Emma from Emari.co.uk. And where did I connect? So I connected with Emma through Living Your Learning, so Pam and Craig, and I first met Emma down at the Mind Yourself event in Portsmouth back in May, and we've been connected ever since. It's really going to be awesome to bring Emma live with me, and at the moment the button's not working. So Emma, as long as you're on your phone, your landscape, it should give me the option of bringing you on. At the moment it's not allowing me to, so have a little fiddle around. Like I said, make sure it's on your phone, make sure it's in landscape, make sure you are watching, so that's cool. Maybe close it down, reopen it, and I shall plug the gap whilst you give it a fiddle round. You are on. Make sure that you're watching using your phone only at the moment. If you're on a laptop, close it down. If you're on an iPad, close it down, and then we shall get going. So yeah, lots of people on. Great to see you guys. Thank you for joining. Bear with me one moment while we just get this all set up. There we go, sorted. I can now with me. And this is what happens when you do 59 of these things. You become calm under pressure. Hello, how are you?
Hi, sorry about that.
You're
I'm
all
not
good.
entirely sure what I did wrong, but there we go.
You're good. You are here with me, which is great.
Yes, I am.
And we're going to make this
So,
conversation happen. So do me the
okay. Oh,
honour and the privilege of introducing your good self and telling us a little bit about your story.
okay. So my name is Emma-Louise Munro-Wilson, which is a ridiculously long name. So most people just call me Em. And I run a sales and marketing consultancy called Amari.co.uk. And we challenge people on how to communicate their value more effectively.
Love
In a
that.
nutshell.
Love that. That's awesome. In a nutshell. And that's really simple, isn't it? If you can just mind getting some feedback off your hair.
Oh, I'll tell you what, let's
So
move that round
yeah,
there.
nice one.
That's better.
I love that, and I think being able to articulate what it is you do very simply is a gift in itself. But take us back, help us understand your journey, and help us understand who you are as a person.
Oh, okay. So normally at this point, I would talk about, I'd pull out the oral CV. So I'd start talking about all my stuff at BP.
Yeah.
I'd start talking about all the startup techs that I've worked with and how I got to Amari and how I hated Mondays. Now I love Mondays. But challenging myself, as you told me to from our the Mind Yourself workshop that you've already talked
Yeah.
about, my story is not an easy one to talk about, and it's kind of in two parts. So there's the There's the before I nearly died of meningitis, and there's the after I nearly died of
Wow.
meningitis. So, and that's actually had a huge impact, as you'd expect, on my mindset.
Yeah.
I got really sick. I spent a long time in hospital. I did a lot of reading, so everyone else is worrying about like pop idol and Beyonce,
Yeah.
and I'm there having a bit of an existential crisis and reading Voltaire. Um, and I think as a result of that, this idea of purpose and value really came to the fore for me, and that led me into my degrees in philosophy. So I did 2 degrees in ancient rhetoric and philosophy,
Wow.
and then there was a phrase, I think from Aristotle, who talked about how persuading people and communication, when used properly, can actually unlock humanity's potential to achieve happiness. And that's really what led me to a career in comms and all the other good stuff that's happened in my life, really.
How old were you when you had meningitis?
13.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So it was interesting. It started off as flu. So I just went to bed. I felt awful, and then the next day, my granddad turned the light on to get me ready for school, as he often did, because my parents worked so early in the mornings, and it was like 1,000 pins and needles had been forced into my eyes.
Wow.
The pain was phenomenal. And then I went to the hospital and I had a lumbar puncture, which is exceptionally uncomfortable. And I don't remember a lot else really
Yeah.
from that. I just remember spending a lot of time feeling very alone, actually. So
Yeah.
yeah.
A lot of reading. It's so you talk about that existential crisis at 13. 13. That's
Mm.
what do you take from those times? What 13-year-old self have you brought with you that you if that's fair to say?
Yeah, no, it's absolutely fine. So I think where I got to was that I had to make mine a life worth saving. I died a lot, so there were 3 occasions where my family were told that I probably wouldn't make it through the night.
Wow.
The nurses used to call me Lazarus because of how many times they had to save me, which I think actually led me then into philosophy, really, as it's their fault. But yeah, I think I never miss an opportunity to tell people things. I think I always when you treat life as if you always might die, I think you're a
Yeah.
lot less scared. So I think actually it's that lack of fear that's probably led me to do silly things like start my own business,
Yeah.
because I'm a lot. I don't worry so much about the future. So I always remember in interviews people used to say, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? And I said, no idea, but I'll be
Yeah.
alive and I'll be happy and,
Yeah.
it'll be fine. And people really struggled with that because a lot
Yeah.
of people have those 5-10 year plans. And I don't think like that at all. It's always, what's tomorrow? Is this linking into my philosophy and stuff like that? So,
Love that.
I think that's what I've brought to it. Don't know if that helps, but
Comms. So you're
there you
attracted
go.
to comms through an Aristotle quote.
Yes.
What is comms?
What is comms? So it's just communicating with people and treating them like human beings. I think it just sounds really basic, doesn't it? But with marketing, it becomes a dark art. I have a lot of conversations with marketers, and they're like, "Oh, it's so difficult. It's really hard to stand out, and everybody's talking online, and nobody's
Sure.
listening to me, and all the strategies that worked 5 years ago or don't work anymore. Like, what do I do?" And then you've got all these, gurus online talking about, follow me and find out how to do this one thing that will make your
Yeah.
following explode or whatever. And actually, we don't do any of that.
Yeah.
We focus on just communicating purpose and value. We focus on treating people as adults, I think, quite a lot of the time. and it's about, so we focus mainly on content marketing, but it's rather than looking at content marketing as a way to get a sale, it's about content marketing as a service in itself, and as a gift actually to others. And that's why I suppose I spend so much time watching your stuff, because that's what it is. I always learn something new from what you produce, and I loved your little infographic the other day on, look in the mirror, there's your competition. I thought, yes,
Yeah.
I really like that. So
That's
there you
very
go.
kind of you. It's interesting because I'm curious around comms and how to be a professional at this marketing stuff. Because if I'm honest, I'm just using my content as an extension of me. And the more and more I learn about branding and comms, and that's kind of the secret, isn't it? It's the ability to communicate yourself as authentically as you can. And
Yeah.
so, tell us a little bit about your journey then through your oral career.
Well, naturally, I went from 2 degrees in ancient rhetoric and philosophy into oil and gas, because that made total sense.
Yeah.
Well, in fact, no, that's not strictly true. I did my masters, and then I went and did the Fastnet race because my family decided they wanted to go sailing, so we
Sure.
did that. And then I worked for a charity for 9 months, which I loved, and that was working for UK Sailing Academy, which was inspiring people that didn't want to go into university, into yachting and watersports, and people that could pay for courses did, and then that money went to help people that couldn't, which I loved. And then the CEO left, and the culture completely changed. I didn't really like where the leadership was going,
Sure.
and so I went to the pub, because that's normally what you do on a Friday night when you've had a bad week at work. And there was this really annoying guy there who said that he was applying for BP, and how wonderful it was, and 6,500 people were applying for these 4 jobs. And I said, oh yeah, I could do that. I could work for BP. That sounds like fun. And his response was, why would they want you? You did theology. And I was like, why wouldn't they want me? Actually, I probably think about things slightly differently because of that. And so really, just as a kind of cocking the snook at him, I went and applied,
Yeah.
and got the job, which was
Amazing.
great. Yeah, so then I started off in Castrol, working in UK retail, so managing all of their promotions and fixing a load of problems, because that's what comms is comms is actually getting people to talk about the right things in the right way to each other, I think. So for me, I had to manage lots of different departments, lots of different goals, and people wanted very different things from the business and from the people within the business, and my
Yeah.
job was to bring them all together and fix it so that we actually got the job done. And then I went from there to I managed all of the children on food for the petrol stations. So all of your pasties and your yogurts and your fruit and DVDs and CDs and all that sort of stuff. So effectively, at the age of sort of 23, 24, I was managing a £7 million business for BP, which was incredible. But again, loads of problems with comms. So head office weren't talking to the stores. There was stuff going on at stores that we had no idea what was going on about. And I was actually one of the first buyers, I think, to go out to the stores and say, how can we do this better? What's happening at your end? And that actually led to, we had 40% growth in declining markets, which was amazing, mostly through what they did on the ground. But that then got me promoted into Europe, because they figured if I could do it at the UK level, maybe I could do it for regional. You bored yet?
No.
By the way.
Keep going. No.
Okay. I do talk far too much, by the way. I will just keep going until you interrupt.
I'll just push you off. Yeah.
But
So
where
what
was
I'm
I?
really
Yeah.
interested in is
Go on. Yeah.
connecting people. How do
Yeah.
you connect people through comms?
Radical candor,
Go on.
actually, in a nutshell. So, the book by Kim Scott.
Mm-hmm.
When I read that, I was like, oh, this is what we've been needing for years. And it's about
Yep.
caring deeply and challenging directly. So
Mm-hmm.
every role I've ever had, so with the European strategy, I was running 1,047 projects, risk and
Mm-hmm.
resource. So you can imagine just all the layers of complexity within that, in terms of people and goals, and all the rest, motives, etc. And so what you have to do is be really clear that everybody's heading towards the same goal. So I always use the sailing analogy, we're heading that way. But be prepared to tack and change as you need to get there. And everybody needs to be really clear on their role and what they're doing, and just give the information that other people need in order to do their job. And actually it's about calling people out sometimes, and saying, you know, that's not what we need, and you know, being really forthright and direct with people.
What do you think helps? Because some people are more comfortable than others at being more forthright and direct. And what do you think helps create a culture where we can call people out?
So we worked. The BP was naturally more focused towards the extrovert because it's a very networked organisation. So I always made a point of making sure people had forums and ways in which they felt that they could call people out, but
Sure.
maybe they weren't the one calling them out. So we always had a touchdown space outside of meeting rooms. So you'd always have, before the meeting, you'd always get a couple of people ahead of time going, do you think we could potentially look at this and or talk about that? And you'd be like, okay. And then after the meeting, they said, this is what I really wanted to say, but I couldn't feel like I could say it in that meeting. So the power of feedback, I think, is really important. And that gives people the power to call things out, because it's not just one person saying it then, it's you know, it's a lot of
I think what you're
people.
talking about is that radical candor is what we call in the community love tough. It's the I'm going to put love first, and I care about you, and actually to help you be better, I'm going to share something that I think is either going to pull you out of your playing it small, and keep people accountable. I think, you know, love comes first, love tough, and it's very similar to that radical candor of caring deeply.
Challenging directly.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what inspired you to set up your own and go your own way then?
I hated Mondays. Was fundamental. So I did a talk at the Tate Britain when I was at BP on the 47 Mondays, the 10 things I'd learned. Because you had 47 Mondays in a year, 52 Mondays minus your 5 weeks holiday. But what they didn't realise was I was counting every Monday down just to leave. And you know, I often got told that I was what the company needed, but I never felt like I was what the company wanted.
Sure.
And it really starts to affect you mentally. My relationships were starting to break down. So I left, and I went to a couple of other businesses and had exactly the same problems. You know, lots of personality clashes, people that didn't really get it. And then I realised I was unmanageable. And if I wanted to work in a business, the kind of business I wanted to create, and this really authentic business,
Sure.
then actually I was just going to have to get out there and do it myself.
What gave you that realization?
Well, actually, a large glass of wine, a tub of Haagen-Dazs, and Tim Ferriss's fear setting exercise. So I'd been in a job for 6 months, loved the job, company fit wasn't right, and then walked out after 6 months, as you do, thinking, oh no, I've got bills to pay, we just spent all our savings on our wedding, and I was like, right, I've got to find a job, I've got to get on it, I've got to do this, that and the other. And then rang my mum-in-law, as I always do, when in crisis, because she's amazing. And she and my father-in-law both just said, calm down, take a minute, do this exercise, it'll change your life. So I did the exercise, and from that I thought, right, well, bugger it, we'll give it a go. So I sent out 15 emails the next day, got 12 responses, which was incredible, and yeah, Amari started, and I've been catching up ever since.
Amazing, I love
frankly.
that. I had a similar realization that I'm just not cut out to follow. You know, I think I'm quite stubborn, and I don't like doing things that I just genuinely don't believe in. And I think that's it's not a great trait of a leader that won't follow in many respects. So I'm having a similar realization to you.
I think
So,
I think you get to a point where you just realise you can't compromise your values anymore.
absolutely, yeah.
That's what I took from the Mind Yourself event
Mm,
was that, all of the people I respect and admire in business, so you
mm,
and Pam and Craig and
mm-hmm,
even my new accountant,
mm-hmm,
really like him. All of you are just, there's so many things that you all share, but
yeah,
I think fundamentally it is that you've got to be able to look in the mirror and say, I'm okay with what I've done today,
sure.
and that's what just
What's important to
defines
you?
you. What's important to me?
Yeah. What's some of your values?
Oh, well, love is definitely important. So I think, again, going back to the whole meningitis thing, I have my 7 questions I ask myself every day.
Mm,
So what's hot? So what's going well? What's not? What's not going well? What's
mm-hmm,
next? What I'm doing about the stuff that's not going well?
mm-hmm,
And then it's, have I laughed enough? Have I loved enough? Have I learned enough? And have I made a difference? So what's my legacy?
mm,
And I think that's what's important to me is, people always say to me, I laugh all the time, and I really do. And I never miss an opportunity to tell people how much I care about them,
mm,
because, those, I think we love it when people just go, oh, I love your dress, I love your shoes, or, whatever. And I just think helping people marinate in that positivity is just really important, and I love it when I'm working with people, and they find marketing really difficult. They find social media just really crazy and just, overwhelming, and
yeah.
you sort of see the light go on, and just, they walk a bit straighter, and
Mm,
and I don't know. That's the bit I love is, and if I can do that for one person, then I think I'm doing all right.
I love that. I absolutely love that.
There you
So,
go.
I recently shared something around tough times don't last, tough people do.
hmm
Why did that resonate with you?
Um, I think it's very easy when the going is good
Mm-hmm,
to do the right things. It
mm-hmm,
is very difficult when things are not so good to stay true to your values,
mm,
and do the things that you should do, and you
mm,
lose confidence because things aren't going your way, and it's not easy to behave well, and it's not easy to do all the right things. Um, and I think, yeah, it was, for me, I was in a really dark place when you said that. You always seem to post stuff just when I need to
mm-hmm.
hear it. It's quite weird. But I was in a really tough place,
Yeah.
and then it was just that thought of, uh, one of the things my grandma always used to say to me was, you've got, the only thing we know is that your track record for getting through bad days is 100%. So you'll get through
Mm,
this one too.
love that.
Yeah. I don't think
Yeah.
it was hers, but it was quite good. She had another one as well, which was, you can make excuses or you can make progress. You have to
Mm,
decide which one, which is
yeah.
definitely a Jim Rohn quote, which isn't it? But
Yeah.
again, I quite enjoyed that one. Um,
Can I quote your grandma?
you quote away. Should
If I
be. I
if
mean,
if I if I quote her, then if it's good enough for Jay Shessie, then it's
absolutely, absolutely. But yeah, and so it just, I think for me, it was. I've had to really think about what I'm doing, who I am, where I'm
mm-hmm,
going, and I spent a long time just going, what do I do? We talked about finding your why
mm-hmm,
at the.
mm-hmm.
Sorry, hold on a minute. I'm wobbling, and everything's sort of full. I had you on a little stand, and the stand's broken. So hold on a second. Wobble, technical difficulties.
It's either that or you get a
Um,
dead arm.
yeah, exactly. There we go. That's better. So we talked about finding your why
Mm-hmm,
after the mindset workshop, and so the bit I was finding tough was a lot of really bad stuff had happened
yeah,
over the last 6 months.
yeah,
I had another. I had a cancer scare, so that kind of brought back a lot of stuff. And
sure.
then my nephew died in birth, and then my best friend died of cancer, all within a very short time. And then my business partner had left as well, so it was all pretty rubbish.
Mm,
Um,
mm,
and it was looking at the finding. I thought, oh, I'll go and find my why, and then I'll know what I'm doing, and I won't feel lost anymore. I have my
mm,
direction. I have it all sorted. And so I went and bought the book, studiously, and sat down and looked at it and tried to do it. And I thought, oh, I'll spend 4 hours at this, I'll be fine. actually that is not what happened.
Mm.
I have realised that finding your why is not like finding a lost £10 note in your coat pocket at all. It is actually a very painstaking, almost archaeological
Yeah.
excavation of the
Yeah.
layers and
Yeah.
layers of sort of societal
Yeah.
expectation and other people's opinions and the thoughts that you have as a kid that suddenly became the beliefs about your life. And actually, I found it a really, I mean, it's been a very revealing, it's been a very painful,
Yeah, sure.
laborious, stretching process. But, and that's, and actually, all of that. So when you put that post about, you know, things being tough, I was kind of right in the middle of that kind of mess, really.
Mm.
But actually, I then every morning I spend about half an hour doing the miracle morning routine.
Sure.
And so one of the I don't really get on with affirmations so much though, so I turn that into education. And so I watched a video about a rabbi who talks about the lobster moment.
Mm-hmm.
So have you heard of that one?
Nope.
So I'll send you the link after this, but it's
Thanks.
basically it's a lobster goes between a rock and a hard place,
Mm-hmm.
loses its shell, feels very vulnerable, feels very scared, but he has to do that in order to grow. And then he obviously replaces his shell and he's a much bigger lobster, which is great. But that bit where you're sort of between the rock and the hard place and you have to, you know, lose that shell in order to grow is when you're the most vulnerable and in the most pain and you
Yeah.
know, the most sensitive to predators, obviously.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's the phase I was in.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but yeah, so that's that.
What did you come up with? What?
Long answer to a short question.
No,
Sorry.
what realization, what self-discovery have you got then through that time?
I think again it was back to authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
So what I realised was that actually I built a business that was based on somebody else rather than me, and it was based on what I thought other people wanted rather than what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't. I was doing all the things I said I'd never do again. So I was compromising my values. I was compromising myself. My family were always coming last,
Mm-hmm.
um, and yeah, and that really needed. And actually, I had to fire some clients, which was really
Mm-hmm.
painful, because they were really well-paying clients as well.
Mm-hmm.
But and I also lost a lot of clients when my business partner
Yeah.
left.
Yeah.
So you know, at one point you're kind of going, God, can I afford to put petrol in the car this week?
Yep.
Actually, can I afford to go to that meeting right now?
Mm-hmm.
And that's never a nice place to be in. But actually, oh, sorry, it might sort of jiggle around a bit because the dog's lying on the bed with me now. But I think from all of that, where I've got to is a lot clearer in terms of who I am and what I offer.
Yeah.
And I've got a lot clearer on the kind of companies that I will work with and the kind of companies I
Mm.
won't work with.
Mm.
And now we're just about to go through a rebranding, which will hopefully be the last rebranding for a while because we've rebranded 3 times in the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, I think the concepts that we're coming up with are much more authentic, which will
Mm.
be fun.
Love that.
Yeah.
So tell us about Amari and tell
Okay.
us how you help people.
Telling you about Amari and tell you how I help people. So we don't focus on fad marketing. We focus on communicating value to the right
Mm-hmm.
people. So you don't
Mm-hmm.
need 10 million followers or 10,000 people on an email list. You just need 100 amazing people that love you
Mm.
and will promote you and do all the right things. We teach people how to use social media effectively
Mm-hmm.
because social media can become a massive time vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
It can also become a really mean and horrible place, and you can lose a lot of self-confidence, and you start comparing your real life to other people's highlight reels.
Yeah.
So we teach people how to use social media strategically,
Mm-hmm.
for whatever it is they want to use it for, but
Yep.
fundamentally, like how to use it properly, netiquette. We focus on authentic content marketing, which is
Yep.
definitely a new thing, but I'm
What's
quite
that then?
enjoying it. So it's about rather than worrying about vanity metrics, so likes and shares and follows, it's about putting out the content that you think adds value
Yeah.
and is a service, and how you do that appropriately and how you do that in the right way, but
And what did you call
also
that?
authentic content marketing. So yeah, this is my whole new thing about I'm taking authentic to the next level.
Yeah, I like that.
Because actually in marketing, a lot of the time we don't get that. You know, most of the time people are worried about trust and authenticity.
Yep.
And so, you know, that's the problem I've seen, and that's the problem I'm trying to fix
Yeah.
for people, and to help them do that properly. Yeah, there's lots of different ideas and different ways and frameworks that we're helping people to achieve that.
Awesome.
And we focus on social capital, so building social capital and what that means and how that works. We look at revenue growth, so we are sales-based marketing. I am not very good with startups because there's no data, and I love data. I think data tells you a picture. So we are focusing on helping businesses become more authentic in their marketing, but also working better with sales, because that brings all the stuff I used to do at BP to the
Yep.
fore. And helping businesses that make a positive impact to society and the environment. You know, those are the people we're really focusing on. And what I'm seeing is it's a bit like I thought it would be a bit like a speedboat. I'd just be able to turn the wheel and zoom off in a new direction. And what I've realised is that my business is kind of like a giant tanker, and it's taken 4 months to slowly wind round. But actually now I'm starting to get the right kind of clients and create that network of you know, businesses that have the same value as me and that
Yep.
inspire me, and that we work. You know, I love is the founding principle of Amari in this new world that I'm creating, because I have to feel a connection to what my clients do and what they provide, because that's the only way I can be truly creative and take
Yeah.
the risks and do the things that I know we need to do for their business. So actually, and you know, I've had clients go, well, how, you know, what's love got to do with business? And I'm like, well, actually, it's got everything to do with business.
Yeah.
Um,
It's interesting, isn't it? Because, you know, yeah, it
I'm not really
goes.
answering your questions at all.
Yeah,
I'm so
you're,
sorry.
this is just a good chat. I'm enjoying this. You know, people come
Good.
and go, but I think fundamentally, if you're the consistent with Amari and you're the one that set out, then is it new? Is it rebranding? Is it just getting clearer on your branding? Like,
Yeah.
for me, it sounds like you're chipping away all the layers that weren't needed,
Yeah.
and that doesn't sound new to me whatsoever. It just sounds like you're realigning.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I'd say that. And that what I'm loving is that there are so many people out there actually that believe the same stuff I do. And I didn't think there were. I think that was the fear. So I did another fear set. I always do a fear setting when I'm in crisis. I always do that exercise when I'm in crisis. Yeah, I think one of the fears was actually I couldn't
Yeah,
be me. I couldn't
yeah,
talk about, you know, all the things that mean the most to
yeah.
me.
I think that's
So
one of
yeah.
the things I shared at the event, wasn't it? That actually, when I first started communicating my purpose and my beliefs, actually, you attract people that don't believe what you believe,
Yeah.
and
Deliberately, it seems.
so I had to go through that process of, oh, well, this is different, and then realizing that actually it's not for everybody. And my job isn't to convince people; it's to speak loudly and clearly to the people that are listening.
Yeah.
Love that. So, how can people find your content, connect with you? Who are you looking for? Who should connect with you?
Okay, we have a website, but it's not great. So most people connect through LinkedIn with me.
Mm-hmm.
So all my most interesting content and all the stuff I'm really thinking about usually goes
Yeah,
on there.
yeah.
So I'd say LinkedIn in the first instance because I'm a lot more accessible.
Mm.
But then on the website we do actually have a about you section now, which is the small addition that I've made. So it's, you know, about us and actually about you. So it's not really about the type or size of business necessarily, although we do tend to work very well within interior design and food because
Mm-hmm.
of my background. So
Mm-hmm.
I've got a whole new niche called the young foodies. They're now calling themselves, which I
Yeah.
love. and they send me chocolate, so I'm happy. And then exactly. But yeah, it's more about your values and more about you as a person,
Sure.
and if you'd work well with this, I think.
Love that.
Yeah.
So we're going to share your links in the comments.
Thanks.
Amazing. My ethos is about helping people be always better than yesterday, and I'm just curious to know what that phrase "always better than yesterday" means to you.
Oh, right, I've had to think about this one, right? So, and you only gave me half an hour, but I think so. My grandma's phrase was always "make excuses or make progress."
Mm-hmm.
And I took that to the nth degree and became, I am now what I call a recovering perfectionist. But I think my always better than yesterday is remembering it's progress, not perfection. So as long as I'm adding something every day, so I have a sometime, some when list. And so now what I'm doing is I add one thing from that list onto my daily to-do list. So even if it's, get over yourself and actually do a Facebook Live, as it was today, then that's what we do. So, and it's actually really exciting, and I've learned a whole load of things that I didn't think I would learn, and I've met a load of people that are completely crazy, but I love, and yeah, that's what it means for me, is opening yourself up to the possibility and progress, not perfection.
Love that. When are you going to do your second Facebook Live?
Oh, I don't know. I've got to have a look and sort of see. I've set myself up.
Add that to the sometime somewhere list.
Yeah, no, I have actually set myself up with 100 video challenge, because I hate videos completely. And so what and it's based on this, as I said, this whole idea of content as a service, not as a means to sales, has changed my life.
Yeah.
So thanks, George. But I think, for me, it's about I'm writing all the things down that I really care about and that I think people need to know. And I've got my first 5. I'm going to script them because I, unlike you, just waffle. I start very erudite and then it all goes horribly wrong. But yeah, so I'm scripting those at the moment, and I'm hoping to start those. I go to America in October, so I think I'm going to start them either just before or just after I get back from there, because I think it'd be really cool to do one at the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, love that.
Because how many people have that as a backdrop?
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And don't be fooled, because half of this format is I just be quiet and I let you speak. So half of it is about allowing you to speak. So I love that.
What about you? What's on your list?
What is on my list? I'm getting out to more schools. I think the events that I did at Castlemead just before school's broken up in July attracted a lot of interest. So I've got probably about 3 or 4 schools now that have got into contact after seeing that, saying that they want me to come and join them. So
Amazing.
I'll and that's exactly what you said earlier about. I think you said something about being able to help give back a little bit, because I wouldn't expect the school to pay me any money. So there'll be businesses that you charge at a slightly higher rate to enable you to go and do that stuff, to go and help schools, and that's what I'll be doing, taking my time and just go and help, because I just love it. I love it, and that's written well. Yeah. Absolutely, and that's the secret of purpose, isn't it? And service, actually.
Yeah. We have Grandma's Day. So every month since I started the business, we have 8 hours a month. Every person that joins Amari in any way gives 8 hours to whatever charity or non-profit or community activity that they want to do.
Love that.
Yeah, and it works really well. But I'm a Solent Enterprise Advisor, which is a posh way of saying I go into schools and kind of try and help them a bit, and sort of become the bridge between business and schools, because they're not great at that. Yep. So if you've got any bits and pieces I can send over to my contact over there, then because I think what you do is amazing, and I think more schools need to get involved, and I think it might actually just change the world. Maybe.
One person, one school, one community at a time, as we say.
Absolutely.
This has been an honour and a privilege. I've really enjoyed. We could just natter all evening long. Go get another cup of tea. Guys, girls, if you've made it through from the start to the end, let me just say thank you for taking the time to spend it with us. I hope that there's been something within this that that has really resonated with you. Be sure there is someone within your network right now that needs to hear what Emma has shared this evening. Think of them, share this in their inbox. That would be really, really great to be able to make sure that the right person hears this message. Push our faces. If you're not following Emma already, make sure you do that. And if you want to share the video on your timeline, please don't feel obliged to, but we would greatly appreciate that as well. Get as many people involved in the conversation. This will go up on the Always Better Than Yesterday podcast as well. So if you've not been able to watch the whole thing, you can take it on the go in your commute on a Monday, because we love Mondays.
We do now.
And I didn't prepare you for this earlier, and I just want it from the heart. Share with us a final thought from yourself.
Final thought. Oh. Just always be authentic. That sounds really twee, but that's what I'm learning is just always be in service of others, and help them where you can, even if it's not really, even if it's just, so we play a game called Human Snap, where we just take somebody that's got one thing and take somebody that needs it and snap them together. So that's my final thought. Play as much Human Snap as you can.
Yeah.
That's my final thought.
So say that again. What are the rules of Human Snap?
So you meet somebody who needs something or wants something, and you find someone else in your network, who can help them, and you just snap them together, and everybody wins.
We rise by lifting others.
Exactly.
I love that. Thank you so much for your time this evening.
Pleasure, thank you.
And I hope you have a great week. Everybody that's
too.
taken the time to join us, much love, and we will speak to you again soon.
Bye.
Human Snap. Love it.